It has been a very busy evening for everybody, including hurricane hunters tonight, Max.
And it's going to get busier at the end of the week.
Indeed it is. Let's talk about Irma, show you what it looks like on the infrared satellite view. It has been impressing us for oh so long. That has not changed. You can see that eye still well defined, still a very powerful system. So let's get you straight to the stats. If you didn't catch the 11 p.m. advisory at the end of the 10 o'clock, let's now get those numbers to you. We're finding that maximum sustained winds are at 140 miles per hour, pressure 943 millibars. So really no big changes in intensity. It's moving west at 13 miles per hour. That center of circulation, 410 miles east of the Leeward Islands. So it is getting closer to these islands. The projected path showing that the center of Irma will move near or over parts of the northern Leeward Islands late Tuesday into early Wednesday. And then after that, notice Puerto Rico could be within the sights of this system as it continues its journey toward the northwest. And then on Thursday, areas like Hispaniola, and then also the Bahamas has to keep tabs on this one. It is forecast to maintain its intensity as a Category 4 hurricane, very strong. And then once we get around that Friday time frame, notice it's somewhere between the north coast of the Cuba and the Bahamas. And then come Saturday, look south of Miami, right over the straits. That's where we could find the core of this system, keeping in mind that there is uncertainty, still a little bit of uncertainty as we go out in time, but definitely something South Florida should be preparing for. I'll show you the latest run on the forecast track model guidance and what that looks like. On the short term, there is a lot of agreement in terms of where the system is going, but going out in time, there is still a little bit of spread. And Max, I know you're going to talk a lot more about that, but for now, let's focus a bit more on Irma as a storm.
And you can see on the satellite imagery here that it still has that very well-defined eye. It's very concentric. This is one that it's just not, there's no reason to expect this to weaken anytime soon. The only chance here, I think, for it to weaken significantly is if we, and let's look at these models here. There's some scatter out, beyond 3 to 5 days here. That yellow line there is the United Kingdom Meteorological Service model. That actually takes it over portions of Puerto Rico, Hispaniola, and Cuba. If it did that, that inner core would get weakened somewhat. But most of the other models are up to the north of that. And if you look at that red line, the consensus, that's not far from the southern portion of the Florida Peninsula and the Florida Keys. And actually, that's very close to where the Hurricane Center is forecasting it. So we're really concerned also beyond that 5-day time period. This is the United States model, global model that takes it northward. And you can see it over the southern peninsula there, or the upper Keys at that time. And continuing northward beyond that into Monday. That's the U.S. model. Now look at the European model. That does almost the same thing. Again, up near the southern tip of Florida and continuing northward beyond that. Now, nobody can tell you exactly where that northward turn is going to occur. And if we, in fact, that's why the Hurricane Center has that cone. I also want to say that the wind field, right now the tropical storm force winds extend out about 140 miles. That's forecast to expand out to maybe 200 miles in the northern semicircle. So when we look at the cone here, we know that that center can be anywhere within the cone, but don't forget that the storm force winds, if they extend out 200 miles away from that center, well then, we're going to feel the impacts here way before the center gets close to us. Betty?
That's right. So if you're in the Keys, Miami-Dade, and Broward, when it comes to Irma, we're talking about all of South Florida. Here's another glance at the track model guidance, and you're noting that several are basically placing the system in the vicinity of South Florida Saturday. But let's talk more about what to expect here, some key messages for our area. Irma is expected to be a major hurricane. The potential impact window, Friday into Monday. That's what it looks like right now. Those tropical storm force winds, they could arrive starting late Friday, so be ready for that. If you are having to put up those hurricane shutters, you want to get that done before Friday. You don't want winds around 39, 40 miles per hour or over that, and you're outside trying to tie up some loose ends. It's too soon for specifics on the landfall or specifics on the impact, but you should definitely have a plan and be ready to act and tie up what you need to get done, I would say, before late Friday, certainly if it has something to do with bringing in those loose items outside. Calvin and Lori?